إلهي لست للفردوس أعلى ولا أقوى على
who maybe 20 years ago held up a gold dinar in public and said, this is what we're going to be using. And then, of course, they got rid of him. The army took over. So I'm afraid I cannot assist on the question on Turkey, on money. But I do know that the Turkish lira has been suffering and the Turkish economy has been suffering, like Maduro's Venezuela. In the case of Maduro, it's because of the defiance of the Zionist world order, which Hugo Chavez pioneered. But I suspect that in the case of Turkey, it's because the plan, the game plan, was that Turkey would attack Syria, and by now we will have had a Sunni Shia civil war waging quite merrily in the world. That if the Turkey were to attack Syria, it would be a very powerful bait for Putin to get involved. And that's what they want. They want Russia to put its nose inside militarily, so they can use that as an excuse to take on Russia. That the Sufi movement in Turkey, based somewhere in, of all places, Pennsylvania, you know what I'm talking about, which played a very significant role in bringing this government to power in Turkey. That Sufi movement was participating as an active participant in the game plan to get Turkey to attack Syria. And the ostensive purpose was that we want to pursue the dream of a neo-Ottoman empire. That Turkey will once again rule the Arab world and that there could be some kind of a modus vivendi with Israel, because Turkey is a NATO country, NATO member country. And that will be to Israel's benefit, an expanded Turkey, a revived Turkey. But that Erbakan suddenly began to catch something called cold feet, and he had second and third thoughts about attacking Syria. And so much time has passed now, almost 2 years of this armed insurrection, and as yet Turkey has not attacked Syria. So now the backlash is coming in an attack on the Turkish economy and an attack on the Turkish lira. That is all I can offer as an answer.
If I may revert back to what I did mention earlier, that countries such as Iraq or Iran or Venezuela or Libya, who have started saying they want payment for oil in euros or gold, have faced the problem of regime change. And in specifically Libya with Muammar Gaddafi. When he started saying he wanted payment in gold, suddenly he was removed. So suddenly the same thing there'll be more and more pressure brought against Turkey. As regarding whether the dollar is terminal, you may remember that in 2012, the gold price rocketed from $1,400 per ounce to $19, and subsequently last year collapsed back to $1,200. And suddenly the expectations in 2012 of the of the gold price continuing to rise to 2,500 or higher floundered. It seems that the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank, in conjunction with New York banks, speculated massively in order to collapse the price of gold. with all kinds of fraudulent derivative trading to that purpose. Gold has now recovered slightly. It's early days yet as to whether this is the beginning of another bull run on gold. But and it might be early days yet to say the dollar is in a terminal condition. But certainly the system is broken. The expectations in 2009 with the financial crash were papered over. With billions of dollars were pumped into the system, and we haven't seen the consequences of that yet in terms of inflation. But it could well be that we will have another bout of inflation internationally. We're seeing it in, for instance, the oil price and other inflationary aspects. And if they go through another inflationary cycle, it could well spark a rush into gold. There are people who are again forecasting a movement into 2,000, 2,500, and even some people saying $10,000 per ounce of gold. But it's indicative that the dollar is in a very, very shaky situation, and so it uses its muscle to keep the Europeans and others into line, and particularly the oil-producing countries, to make sure that they price oil in dollars. We're on a dollar standard still because of oil being priced in dollars.
May I offer a comment?
Please proceed.
I think that it's not only market forces which are going to determine the fate of the US dollar, but in addition, the big plan, which is that we have to move away from paper money in which you can have anonymous transactions to a new universal unitary currency for the whole world, which will be entirely electronic, and in which there are no such things as anonymous transfers, anonymous transactions. So every single transaction would be recorded. You have an electronic trail, you can't get away. The time has now come for the transfer of power. This is the eschatology, the Antichrist, the three stages of the Antichrist. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, a day like a year, a day like a month, a day like a week. And in a day like a year, the world experienced Pax Britannica and the sterling pound as the universal currency, His Majesty the sterling pound. And then came Pax Americana, and the sterling pound was humiliated at Bretton Woods and was replaced by the US dollar. The British humiliation was pathetic at Bretton Woods. And Pax Americana and the US dollar. And now we are on the verge of movement to stage 3, which is the last stage, where a new ruling state must emerge to replace the United States, and a new monetary system to replace the sterling pound, the US dollar. What it's going to be. We said that we thought it was Israel who's going to try to replace the United States. And then we were told, it's really difficult to believe it, isn't it? That Israel controls the US Congress? Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
And that Israel controls the US government? Who said so? He just died. A man named Ariel Sharon. And he did it when he was Prime Minister. He said, we control America. So it's not far-fetched then to conceive of Israel as a ruling state in the world when Israel is already ruling the world from behind the curtain. So now we have to look forward to a change in the monetary system. And this was why I was able to anticipate more than 15 years ago that the US dollar was going to collapse. I said, it's not just that it will collapse, I said it must collapse in order to give way to a new monetary system, which I thought would be electronic. Money you can't see, and money you can't touch, and only donkeys of the world will accept that as money. I think this is why the US dollar is now going to be demonetized. Maybe some war would take place and they would use that as the opportunity to demonetize the US dollar, bring something as a makeshift replacement in order to facilitate the movement towards one world currency.